Welcome back to TribPreps. I'm Eric Lee alongside Todd Sommerfeldt. We're here to break down Week 5 high school football in Wisconsin, Week 3 in Minnesota, and we'll just jump right into it, run through the scores, and we'll get into the games that we were at. I was at West Salem Sparta tonight. West Salem 33, Sparta 7, giving the Spartans their first MVC loss of the year, while West Salem staying perfect. You were at Onalaska Logan. It's a 41-13 win for the Hilltoppers. Aquinas, wow, just wow. 57-6 over Westby. They will meet Arcadia next week in a battle of coolly unbeaten teams. Arcadia beating Black River Falls 12-0 tonight. Viroqua falling to Altoona 33-14. Elsewhere in the MVC, Holman getting its first win of the season in a big way. 56-20 over Toma. Central falling to River Falls 42-14. River Falls, as we've talked about these last couple of weeks, it's looking like they might be the team to beat the MVC.
Yeah, championship may go through there, even though we've got some teams playing very well.
Right.
We'll see how our teams that are over here can fare against them.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks here.
Over in the Scenic Bluffs, Bangor still unbeaten, 35-20 over New Lisbon. Luther, another win, this time over Royal, 22-6. Brookwood falling to Necedah, 20-16 in the Ridgeon Valley. DeSoto, 38, Hillsboro 6. In the Dairyland, Melman, a good win over Blair Taylor, 27-14. Prairie du Chien falling to Richland Center in overtime. That is 13-7, your final there. Caledonia, its second loss of the year and shut out this time. 30-0 they fall, the Warriors do.
It's been a while since they lost 2 games in a season.
And that they've lost at home, we were talking about. Yeah. Another shutout loss, running down the scores here. Lewiston, Altura beating La Crescent Hoka 35-0. Cashton loses for the first time this year to Highland 27-20. And Ellsworth beats GET 53-8.
Yes.
And that is our list of scores from this evening. Where do we want to start? What do you think is a good place?
We can start with mine. It was a game, 41-13 game, as you mentioned, Onalaska winning. It was 15-6 at the half. So that kind of shows you what Onalaska was able to do in the second half. They really kind of took things over. Offensive line, you've seen them play a lot. Mm-hmm. This was my first time seeing them. And one thing you said is they've had some issues with the offensive line. Kids being sick, not being able to play. Boy, that line looked good tonight, especially in that second half. I'll make sure to give names here so they all get their credit. But they had Ben Bossman and Sam Bossman out there at tackles. They had Sam Wallace and Caleb Yang at guard, and then Trevor Fink was the center. And boy, they were busting big holes for everybody. And Onalaska used a lot of guys in the backfield tonight. They had Sean Gillis get hurt early, like on the first possession of the game. So they had to come up with a plan B there. So they used Jonathan Nickram. They used Robert Bonner and Brady Kuhn. Robert Bonner had 100 yards tonight, a little over 100 yards, a nice touchdown run too. All of them had plenty of opportunities to pick up big yards. And part of that was, and one of the challenges that Onalaska faced was dealing with Martell Owens.
Right.
Who's having a great year for Logan. He's a kid who's going to play Division II next year, and they tried to get away from him as much as they could, which is the smart play. But this line did a really good job with him in limiting his ability to get to some of those plays. I think he had a sack early in this one. Logan had a couple sacks early in this one, and then the pressure kind of went away after that. So a really good game, and this is something that Onalaska kind of needed to see out of itself, that they could go out and run the ball. They had 243 rushing yards tonight. Aiden Larson had 1 interception and 1 incomplete pass.
Okay.
And this one, I think it was 13 out of 15 or 14 out of 16, something like that.
Okay.
The incomplete pass didn't come until 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
Okay.
So not till late.
And he's been playing really well lately.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go back, not last week, the week before was the night that he had 37 carries, and then
130 some yards or whatever.
Last week there was for 5. I mean, I know they lose last week, the Central, but there was for 5 touchdown passes last week, and
yeah, and then he rushed for 2 today.
yeah,
and threw 2. He threw 2 to Nick Odom. One just a run by the defense down the sideline. Hit him with a really nice pass on that one, and the other one Odom made a couple nice cuts on that he caught near the sideline. Frustrated some Logan defenders there on that one. Made a really good play off of that pass. So another big night for Nick Odom. Aiden Larson, I think, only had 30 some yards, but scored 2 touchdowns. So 2 passing, 2 rushing. So another big game for him. But I think Onalaska not only had to get back on the winning track after losing the Central,
right?
They kind of had to show themselves that they can go out there and run the ball.
Yeah, I mean that was even.
I didn't think tonight would be the night.
And I didn't. I mean, I was gonna say that even before we took off for our games, I was like, I said that I don't necessarily expect them to run the ball. Not that they could. Not that that we didn't think that they could per se, but just that they, like you said, like that outside of Aiden Larson in that one game, it's not something that they've shown they were that they felt like they could really lean on, right? So I mean, to be able to go at it like that, I think that's definitely a big step, and definitely probably a big confidence boost too, just going into this last stretch.
Yeah, and I felt the same as you. I was even telling people before the game on the sideline that if this is night they decide they want to run the ball, I don't know if it's the best plan, because I've seen Logan play, and Logan's 1-4, but I've seen good things out of the defense, and I didn't think Logan could go in there and control the ball that way and run the ball the way it did. So good for the Hilltoppers, especially going into a game against West Salem next week. I think that's going to be a really good game over in West Salem. So I think this is just what they needed going in.
Sure. I want to go back. I mean, first half, 15-6, right, at half?
Yep.
So, I mean, what was Logan doing well in the first half then to keep it close?
Well, I think they scored in the 3rd or 4th possession. They put together a nice touchdown drive on that. They got within 8-6. And then right at the end of the half, Onalaska got a touchdown to go up 15-6. And then Logan got the ball right at the end of the half, but 30 seconds left, so they weren't able to do anything with it. Right. They limited, and it's not like there were a lot of big plays for Onalaska. They just seemed a lot more in sync in the second half, and it seemed more like Logan just couldn't handle that.
Okay. They
could in the first half, but after that touchdown drive, they didn't have another first down until the last time they had the ball. So we should give credit some Onalaska's defense too, with what it was able to do, holding them without a first down all that way. So they kind of lost that bit of. I guess if you look at what Logan did, they had 2 decent drives in the game. They got touchdowns out of both of them, but anything else, they couldn't move the ball.
Sure.
So once they got it moving, they're okay, but they had a tough time getting it moving.
Sure. Well, speaking of good defensive play,
West
Salem. This is my first time watching them this year, and as good as advertised. I thought. I just from hearing you talk about them, I had high expectations going in. Even them playing a Sparta team that had put up an average of 50 points over the previous 3 games. I didn't expect Sparta to even score 28, right? I mean, you just don't. It just doesn't happen against West Salem. We're talking about a team that shut out Central 2 weeks ago, and they were really impressive. Sparta had 208 total yards of offense, but 57 of those came on a touchdown pass from Thomas Laufenberg to Layden Ott, and Sparta also had a pretty significant, as far as play length and yardage length drive in the first half that didn't end up in any points. Sparta only had 61 yards of offense in the second half. Laufenberg was over 5 passing for nothing, and threw a pick in the second half. So all those 61 were on the ground in the second half.
How did they do with when Kent carried the ball?
They were pretty solid. I mean, the thing is, the defensive line was able to really just get into the backfield from the start. I mean,
if he gets ahead of steam, he's
right,
technically
yeah.
done anyways. He's a tough guy to tackle.
Yeah, he finished with, what did he finish with? He finished with fewer than 50 yards
So that's fantastic.
on 13 carries.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the defensive line was in the backfield from the start, and it's funny because Yane said they were going through like pregame warm-ups and they realized that they had like a bunch of extra time still. Like they felt like their warm-ups were like going really well, and they were like getting in a good spot, right, to just play the game, and then they're like, oh crap, we've got a lot of time left, and so he was like worried that with some of this downtime that they would have a repeat of their slow start against Logan.
Oh. Okay.
But apparently CJ McConkey talked to the team, and first two plays were -2 yards, -2 yards for Sparta. Like the first two plays from scrimmage, and then Zach Niemeyer broke up the third down pass, and Sparta punted like a minute and a half into the game. Sparta's Sparta's next possession, they gained a total of 2 yards. So between Sparta's first two possessions, they netted -2 yards. And it was very clear, like from the start, that West Salem was going to be like essentially fine defensively. They
passed the ball tonight.
Yeah,
Been waiting for that.
yeah. Brett McConkey looked really comfortable back there. He had a good pocket for most of the night too. That was something that Laufenberg didn't really have a lot of, and when he did, he was able to connect. 57-yard touchdown. That was one of the best pockets he had all night. But West Salem was doing a really good job of getting pressure on him just to make him kind of move. But yeah, Brett McConkey didn't really have too much pressure to deal with. And granted, West Salem isn't trying to take a lot of shot plays.
Right.
They're throwing a lot of screens, they're throwing a lot of slants, like very methodical, right, with their approach to the passing game. But yeah, what did Brett end up with? He finished with he completed 15 of his 18 for 192 and 2 touchdowns. One of those was a fairly lengthy score. I believe it was 63 or 67-yard score to Niemeyer on a slant. So realistically, right, Brett McConkey only had to throw the ball like 10 yards to him on the slant, and Niemeyer gave a nice stiff arm and went the rest of the way. But so like that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like kind of the methodical part. He threw a pick, but he also rushed for 95 yards and a touchdown too. Brett McConkey did.
Good quarterback.
And CJ McConkey had 15 carries for 86 and 2 touchdowns. So
no Luke Knoll again tonight?
No Luke Knoll.
Okay.
No Luke Knoll in the backfield. And they were dealt another injury at wide receiver. Brandon Kennedy. It was honestly a scary moment in the third quarter. Not sure what the official prognosis was, but there was a solid stoppage in play, and everybody was. I don't know if I've really experienced anything like that, like in person.
Okay.
But obviously they kept playing the game. It wasn't. That's what just astounds me is like the players and the coaches are able to refocus after a tough injury to go back out there. But yeah, like going back to West Salem in the defense though, it was, I don't know, they just executed so well. They placed an emphasis on keeping everything kind of contained, not letting Sparta get to the edge, because Sparta has a lot of speed and they've got a lot of playmakers, and we knew that, and that's been very evident these last 3 weeks.
Yes. Absolutely.
And for the most part, they did a really nice job of keeping everything kind of in the middle and funneling everything. And perhaps one of the only times they weren't able to do that outside of like the long touchdown pass was Sparta's third drive of the first half, where they were able to move the ball. They were able to get some chunk plays. They were able to find like soft spots kind of on on the edges, like they were running some like short, like 5-yard hitches just to pick up some yards here and there. And then they hit him with something in the flat, and then they go to Nick Kent. So they had a nice mix, but then they adjusted and they switched to man coverage. West Salem did, and that seemed to just kind of do the trick. And I mean, even Adam Dow, I talked to him after the game, and he was like, I think Bob Gorniak might be the best defensive coordinator in the conference.
And he's been a very good defensive coordinator for a long time.
Yeah, so
they've won a state championship with him and made a number of deep playoff runs with him. I mean, he's been doing this a while. He certainly knows what he's doing.
yeah, so it looked like a very complete team, and I mean, Sparta had a very good opportunity to make things very, very interesting. Because it felt like West Salem was kind of starting to get control when they scored the first touchdown. They go up 6-0 when on Brett McConkey's first touchdown pass, which went to Brandon Kennedy. It was on a 4th and 4 from the 19, and he was able to Kennedy was able to work behind the linebacker part of the zone that the Spartans were playing, and McConkey just kind of hit him. And that was something McConkey said too. Is he's just getting better at recognizing like when guys are going to be where, and he thinks that's been a huge improvement for him. But so they go up 6-0, and Sparta. That's when Sparta has a nice drive down the field, and they get into the red zone. But the drive stalls. Like West Salem's able to hold, and they force a 35-yard field goal, and it's missed.
Okay.
And then 5 plays later was the slant to Nehemiah.
Oh, so okay.
So it was, and then yeah, just like that, it was a 2-possession game, and with the way the defense had been playing, like you're kind of like, okay, well, maybe if Sparta can string together another possession like that, then things can still be interesting. First play, the next possession, Laufenberg takes off running, and I couldn't see it from my angle. I went and talked to some of the TV guys, and they made it sound like he tried to pitch the ball, like in the middle of a run, just to somebody else. But end of the play was West Salem came up with a fumble on Sparta's next play, and then they go down. I don't actually think they scored that time, but Sparta's next possession after that, even bad snap, West Salem recovers. So they just didn't have the ball for a decent chunk of the first half, and by then, I mean, West Salem was able to go up. They were up 26-7 at the half, and once you got that kind of lead with that defense, I mean, what are you gonna?
And when West Salem is playing good defense, it's because they're creating turnovers.
Yeah,
that's kind of a hallmark of this team. When they had a really good, like I said, I was talking about all those deep playoff runs and winning state, and postseason was just something different where everything just got amped up.
Yeah,
and the turnovers really started coming, and that's something they've had success in already. They've made some big plays on interceptions and recovering fumbles, so you turn teams over.
Yep.
It certainly helps your effort to win, and West Salem knows that very well.
Yeah, they had 3 tonight. Those 2 fumbles, and then Chris Calico had a pick.
He's got a bunch of those this year.
It was a questionable throw by Laufenberg. I thought it was kind of I got 2 guys down there. I'm gonna kind of just see what kind of happens. Kind of throw.
And things have been going well the last couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. No.
Now Calico's there.
And it didn't end up mattering a whole lot because it was on like a 3rd and long, and they were in West Salem territory, so it kind of stung a little bit. But even one of the Sparta coaches on the sideline was like, "That's just a punt. Like it's okay. It's okay."
Yeah.
But yeah, really good showing from West Salem, and like you said, sets up a nice matchup with Onalaska next week.
And then traditionally, those are always good games anyway. So
yeah.
I think there'd be no different this year, especially with the way they both played tonight.
And there are now only 2 unbeaten teams in the MVC. So.
And I think West Salem goes to River Falls the week after.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a test. West Salem. That's going to be a test. Yeah, for sure. Elsewhere, Jackson Flotmeyer tonight, just doing Jackson Flotmeyer things at this point. 10 of 12 for 207 and 3 touchdowns. Also rushed for a touchdown. He did throw a pick tonight,
First one.
So maybe he's not as good as we think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. First one.
An interesting matchup then that they have with Arcadia next week. That game will be at UWL.
Kind of surprised by the Arcadia score tonight.
Yeah, but it looks like
Falls.
Ryan Suckup had a nice game though.
Yes.
28 carries for 197 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's really all we know. So I'm not sure how it was a scoreless game, I guess, until into the third quarter, maybe midway through the third quarter, and that's when he scored both the touchdowns and got one in the third, one in the fourth. But I was just surprised by the final score after watching Black River Falls play last week.
Right.
And knowing that Arcadia kind of, might be that team to challenge Aquinas. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really translate with what we saw tonight
Right.
and common opponents at this point. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Arcadia's had a pretty good run, so.
Right. Like we said at the top, good win for Holman.
Yeah, 330 some rushing yards in the first half.
And 49 points in the first
49
half.
points in the first half. That's exactly what they needed.
Yeah,
And,
definitely needed
Yeah,
something like that.
one of those teams needed that. Holman was the more likely team to be able to go out and do it. And so they did. Now we'll see where that takes them from here. I mean, there's still a number of tough games left in the conference.
I mean, the Vikings they even threw a touchdown pass tonight. So
yes, they did.
That's
Leclerc.
That's how well things were working. Central falling to River Falls.
They're within 14, and they gave up 2 later touchdowns for that big margin there.
Yeah. Bangor doing Bangor things.
Yep.
Matthew Osterley, 26 carries for 175 and a touchdown, and then
he had 280 last week.
Yeah. And you get 106 from Tanner Jones. So
and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know what they run for as a team, but obviously just with those two, there was a lot.
It's the Bangor Cardinals. They have now won 44 straight Scenic Bluffs conference games. Dylan Yang doing good things for Luther.
Not overwhelming, but I mean, I think it was 102 passing yards and 89 rushing yards.
Correct.
So a solid day for him. A couple touchdowns, I think, right?
Yep.
Touchdown pass, maybe 2.
Yeah. So things are going well for the Knights. They are 2-1 in the conference. I talked to Scheibel last year and then this year also. Just about moving to the Scenic Bluffs, and that was just something that they were really looking forward to, especially after kind of they've been bouncing around years previous. So
a lot of bouncing around for Luther.
I think they were really excited to have some of that consistency, just some of to know what's going to happen each year, right, with who you're going to play, and it seems like this is a good fit.
We'll see, and they got Bangor coming up, so we'll see how they feel about how it fits after that.
Right.
But they've been playing pretty well. So.
Other noteworthy things, I don't think we can't not talk about Caledonia.
Yeah, 59 yards. So they struggled offensively. There was an interception return for a touchdown early. Chatfield. I mean, this was always one of their tough games anyways, playing Chatfield. Chatfield's a good football program. Caledonia has always been fortunate enough to win that game, of course. I mean, Chatfield has beaten them, time here and there. But this was going to be a tough one, even though it was in Caledonia. I'm a little surprised at the 0.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since that happened. It seems like anything happens bad to Caledonia, you have to say, man, when's the last time that happened? We've already done that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's a young team, and at some point something like this is going to happen. And now you have teams smelling blood, and they want their shot at Caledonia now.
Right.
And Chatfield always got sky high for this game, and Caledonia would take them right down. And obviously that didn't happen today, so they probably gained some confidence after the interception return and all that. And now everybody just kind of wants to line them up and get their shot. So we'll see how they respond. They won last week, so they responded to the first loss okay. We'll see how this one goes.
Right. Like you said at the top too, Cashton's first loss of the year, but a one possession one. So.
And Highland's a good team, but Cashton it kind of showed that it appeared they were kind of over that hump. So I'm still a little surprised.
Yeah.
That happened, and the fact they kept Colin O'Neill out of the end zone,
Right,
it speaks a lot to Highland's defense.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I'll be curious to see too. If we're talking about how is Caledonia going to respond next week? I mean, I think the Cashton game could be kind of a nice test for them too. You know, when you're right there, a loss could potentially derail so much of that progress that you feel like you've made, right?
Especially a team like Cashton that's been a while since they've had success.
Exactly.
So, you know, next week will be a good game just to see how they bounce back.
And like we said, we've got a lot of good games next week. We've got West Salem, Alaska. We've got Aquinas, Arcadia. We've got Holman, Sparta. Elsewhere, I mean, River Falls, Logan. Central looked to bounce back against Toma. So we've got some good area games to look forward to next week. But I think that wraps up our talk of this week.
Yes.
For this evening. So
it's late enough.
It's late enough. Early enough, whichever you
Early
prefer.
enough, yeah.
As always, we'll finish this by saying check out our website, lacrossetribune.com. You can find all of our game stories, roundups, photos, videos, highlight videos, all that stuff there. And you can check out all of our video content, whether it's recap videos like these, highlight videos, on our YouTube channel. That's Lacrosse Tribune. And if you subscribe, you will get a notification every time we post a video.
Another thing about the website's changing on Tuesday.
Yeah,
we have a redesign coming. It appears to be a lot more user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people tell me they have a tough time finding things on our website, and I tend to agree at times, but this looks like it's going to be quite a bit different. And one thing we like about it in sports is, we're the ones who are using it at night with all the events going on and everything. And when you go on our website in the morning, you're going to see all the stuff from the night before right at the top, easy to find. The sports stuff's easy to find. So we're looking forward to the redesign of lacrossetribune.com.
Yeah.
It starts on Tuesday.
Yep, and we've been told too that if you're interested in sports content like this and you click on stuff like this, that the website will automatically try to give you similar content. So it should make our stuff more accessible if that's up your alley.
Yep, the more sports you look at, the more it'll funnel toward you.
Which is better for all of us, right?
Yes.
It's better for all of us. All right. Well, we'll hope to see you guys again back here next week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Thanks.